good starts, but I mean, you look at maintaining that through the first half. You guys have done a really good job of that to start this season. I think you're the number one point differential in the second quarters in the league. How hard is that to do, and what's been the key to you guys being able to do that?
Yeah, I mean that was part of our, kind of mantra, like getting off to a good start. Is I mean, I'll take to the season start. It was a focus when I first got the job. I think was the last year was 13 and 15 or something. When you get behind in this league, it's tough to catch up. And same goes so season wise and then in game wise. So it's an emphasis for us. And I don't know what our third quarter stats say. I think that's our next hurdle. Obviously, last night was not a good one. I know, you know, this team has struggled in the third quarter. It seems to me the great teams are third quarter teams too. So we got to do a better job coming out of the locker room.
And what are some of the emotions that maybe we don't see that also come up with having such a great start? You know, you're undefeated and it's exhilarating, but there's also other emotions that come with that at all to manage?
Yeah, I'm just, players they're so even keeled in this league. They don't get too high or too low. So the amount is like you wouldn't. I think, you walk into our locker room. I don't think you would know the difference whether we're 10-0 or 5-5. Pretty even keeled group. A group that's had success before. I was thinking today they went on that run in the middle of the season last year, so they've kind of handled success. They handle success well, but win or lose, tough situation or not, during the game. It's just they have a real maturity about them, emotionally.
Coach, obviously this is another back-to-back situation. Do you guys have any minute restrictions for anybody? Or is everybody gonna be ready to
No,
go?
everybody be ready to go. Yeah.
And obviously this game against Brooklyn kind of brings two worlds together. One from your first stint as a head coach and now where you are. How much have you learned and how much do you take away from all your experience? Obviously coming off of the Golden State Warriors game
Yeah,
as well.
I've grown a lot. I think I've changed a lot as a coach, which is a good thing. I've progressed. I've developed. Definitely not the same coach I was in Brooklyn. So yeah, and all those experiences, the range of experiences I've had from Clippers and then going, conference finals with the Clippers, going through with that, and then obviously Golden State and championship in 22, and then the experience I had this summer, like with being in the Olympics, and that's kind of been my philosophy. How many experiences can I get in this league? And that was part of the thought process. Once after I got fired in Brooklyn, it's like, man, you're a little taken aback, and then you're like, okay, how do we turn this into, how can I get better? And luckily, I felt like I've made the right decisions.
Yeah.
What specifically about you as a coach do you think has changed since you were in Brooklyn?
More patient, you know, um, more of a manager than, I think Brooklyn has a real coach. Like, I was really coaching the game hard, which is typical for a first time coach. You're trying to make sure every shoot around's perfect, that every practice is perfect, and I think I've again, it's my experiences, right, with Steve and Ty and my international experiences, being around other coaches, just having more of a big picture feel. Better, I think I do a better job of managing the locker room, managing players. Don't get so stressed out about the little things like I used to. So I'm sure that comes with age too, right? It's not just my the coaching, different coaching experiences.
Was it difficult to learn to stop stressing some of those little things?
Yeah, it's a lot of work, right? And then you have to have strategies. I think you have to have strategies to improve in that area. And I still, I still fight it, right? I fight, trying to control everything, right? And these organizations have become so big, and you have a huge staff. And we just did shoot around. No, I didn't do one part of it. I think I spoke for a minute, and the assistants did the rest. And again, that was part of my Steve Kerr experience, and just understanding to empower your staff, empower your players more.
Just with that said, about your time in Brooklyn, you
reflected on like how you changed and grown, just what was it like to game plan for this Brooklyn Nets team, and just kind of what went through your thought process as you sat there and watching film on a team that you used to head coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's always it's unique. The Warriors, that was a unique game. This is like back to back, like. But you're a competitor, right? And even last night, I was like, man, I wanted that game, and because you've had such great experience with the team you're with, but you also want to beat them, and it's the same with the Nets. Wonderful experience I had, but there's always a little something extra, right? When you've been with a team before, so a little more. Awareness, a little more tension, a little more. You want a little more.
Brian, Kenny, could you have gotten to that point in Brooklyn? I mean, did you have to go through
That's
that
a great
experience
question.
with KD and Kyrie, and then leave? Or
Right.
if you've been getting more time, but you've got.
That's a great question. I can't answer that. Like, I don't have a crystal ball. I wonder. I've never really thought about that. But like I said, I do know how it played out was almost like the perfect scenario in terms of my development, and would I have gotten there otherwise? That's kind of an unknown. I'd love to play that out in a alternative life,
Nate.
Hey Kenny,
Hey, Nate.
getting a chance to talk to several Warriors players yesterday. They said this is a compliment, but they said you're direct and blunt, like when they were describing
Yeah.
your coaching style. So how did you? Is that from your playing days with the kind of coaches you had? Like how did you develop that?
It's growing up in New York. That's how my dad was. That's how my mom was. That's how my brothers were. It's just part. It is part of. I do think it's a regional thing. Yeah, and I'll tell you, maybe the thing that made me proud, like reading all those comments from those guys and from Steve, that there was nothing better than that. Obviously winning the game was awesome, but hearing what Steph had to say and Draymond, and I was reading it this morning, having a cup of coffee. That was really, really emotional for me.
So, I guess my follow-up is, when you are that direct by nature, like, how do you kind of find a balance with certain guys and just kind of gauge how they're reacting to it and make sure you're connecting?
Through humor, I'm definitely blunt but humorous, and coach them hard, and then love them to death. Right? It's like I think that's what the way I've kind of realizing that it seems to me that works with players in the NBA. They like that. They like that style, and not everybody, right? You have to. Jared Allen is definitely different than Donovan Mitchell, right? So you have to know the subtleties, but for the most part, guys want to be coached and want to be coached hard, and then you got to throw a little fun in there and understand this is a long season. You can't be that way every day.
When you hit DeMar Carroll as a player in Brooklyn, what did you see in him that said that he could one day be an NBA coach?
Well, first of all, he was great for it, right? He really, that was really helped us. That was part of our growth there. Him, signing him and him in the locker room. So he was great, and that was part of it. It was a locker room presence. Obviously, we had history from Atlanta, so that helped a lot. But he came in; he was already bought in, so that was huge. And then he supported me in the locker room, and then always had a natural curiosity for the game. Had always saw it from kind of the intellectual side, the X's and O's side, and he's a hell of a coach. I lean on him a lot. Even last night, I was very upset about the second half. Imagine you beat the Warriors and you're like, and he said, calm down, right? Like great win. Don't go in there and rip them for a bad second half. Like you need that kind of ex-player presence, and he's a big part of our staff.